Ohio State won their ninth national championship in school history last night, beating Notre Dame 34-23 in Atlanta. They are the first team to win the 12-team college football playoff. Let's talk about it very fast about what it means for Ohio State. Throughout the entire college football playoff, Ohio State head coach Ryan Day was saying this story cannot be told until it was finished, and that's what Ohio State did last night. They finished the story, and they will be remembered as the team that absolutely buzzsawed their way through the first 12-team college football playoff. They beat Tennessee 42-17 in the first round, number 1 Oregon 41-21 in the second round, number 5 Texas 28-14 in the semifinals, and Notre Dame 34-23 last night. Not a single game within double digits as Ohio State gets their ninth national championship in program history. This is obviously so huge for the Ohio State program. It's their first national championship since 2014, which was the first 4-team college football playoff, but it means so much more for the senior class who came back to Ohio State for moments like this. I'm talking about Jack Sawyer, J.D. Tuimoloau, Emeka Egbuka, Travion Henderson, Denzel Burke, to name a few. Those guys have never beaten Michigan in their Ohio State career. That's still the case, but they came back to school with eyes on a national championship, and all of them made big plays in the playoff in order for that to happen. Ohio State built its roster from day one of the offseason into this juggernaut. Their roster is valued over $20 million. They brought in 3 transfers in Will Howard, Quinshon Judkins, and Caleb Downs, who are all top 10 ranked. Howard won Offensive MVP of the national championship yesterday. 17 for 21, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns. Judkins, 11 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and 1 in the air. Those 2 transfers came up huge. Caleb Downs, one of the best defensive players in America. When you combine all of that, you get an Ohio State roster that was one of the best and most talented. I just realized my mic wasn't working, so I'm sorry if the audio changes here, but this Ohio State team, even through the losses, they were always a national championship contender. They lost 2 games to number 1 Oregon and to Michigan by a combined 4 points. I don't know if anybody ever wrote off the Buckeyes as a contender, but they definitely got ripped into, especially after that Michigan game. A lot of people doubted Ohio State. They missed the Big Ten championship, and their offense couldn't do anything. And led by Will Howard, this Ohio State offense was the best one in the playoff. When talking about the Buckeyes, you have to mention their nationally ranked defense, which was the best in America, first in points per game and yards per game allowed. Stars at every level. You start at Sawyer, Tuimoloau, Tyleik Williams defensive line. Linebacker Cody Simon won defensive MVP of the game yesterday. Safeties Lathan Ransom, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs are all freaks. Denzel Burke and Davison Igbinosun had their up and downs this season, but they played well yesterday. And then you have to talk about head coach Ryan Day, who rightly has faced a lot of criticism in his Ohio State career. Hasn't won a national championship before yesterday, 4 straight losses against Michigan, hasn't won the Big Ten since 2020, which was a fluke year. They heard the critics, and I think the break really helped Ohio State. Day was able to get his team in and talk to them, and they came out looking like the best team in America in 4 straight games, and they weren't particularly close. And now Ryan Day and this senior class at Ohio State, yeah, they didn't beat Michigan. They went through a lot of lows and adversity, but they are national champions, and that's the biggest thing. And just like Ryan Day has said over and over again, and like all these coaches say, that's why you come to a marquee program like that for wins like the national championship. I think the Buckeyes are going to be in the same position next year. Yeah, they have to address the quarterback position. I think it's going to be Julian Sayin, who was a 5-star recruit transferred from Alabama. They arguably have the best offensive and defensive returning players in the country next year in Caleb Downs and wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, who caught a touchdown yesterday. Everybody knows what Jeremiah Smith brings. Ohio State is a talent factory. They're going to be right back up there in the top 5, top 3 to open up the season, and they'll yet again be a national championship contender. So just to wrap it up, Ohio State addressed their roster from day one of the offseason. Seniors coming back, bringing in transfers like Will Howard and Quinshon Judkins, who both played so well in the national championship. Transfers on defense, too, roster valued over $20 million. Faced a bunch of adversity, losses to Oregon and arch rival Michigan, but buzzsawed their way through the first 12-team college football playoff en route to the 9th championship in school history. I'm going to have a New York memo and a divisional round reaction out soon, but I wanted to get this out. Please like, follow, and subscribe on TikTok and YouTube if you haven't already.